Welcome to CSN, the Network Podcast. This is your host, Kayvon Cutler, with my lovely co-host, Dree Nazario Malik Hampton. How y'all doing this evening, man?
I'm doing good, man. No complaints, bruh. Living and breathing. Blessed and
I,
highly favored.
I am blessed and highly favored. I'm feeling about 80% better than what I did yesterday, so I'm thankful for that. This joint been trying to whoop me a little bit, so I'm just glad to be able to, sit up for a few hours. So I'm feeling good. How you doing, brother?
Likewise, man, I'm blessed and highly favored, doing better now, especially talking to you two. And I'm glad to hear you doing better, man. Shout out to the first lady, Dree, baby. She been toughing it out, fighting through this cold. We did an interview yesterday and she knocked it out. Great interview yesterday with John Elmore. Y'all will be hearing that real soon. And we're back here today to, just recap this weekend's events real quick before we indulge into everything, man. We want to shout out our brother, our co-host, Malik Hampton. A couple of weeks ago, he got inducted into the George Washington High School Hall of Fame for football. So I just want to, tell my brother congratulations. Of course, I was there. I was late as normal, but I made
Just time, man.
yeah, I did. Got up just in time. Kels and I was running up, but we made it to the field. We got to witness that firsthand, and we celebrated the right way afterwards. So, shout out to Lake, man. How's it feel to be Hall of Famed up, man?
I mean, it's a blessing, bruh. You know me, I don't ever get too high up or, what I'm saying, about stuff like that, what I'm saying. But now it was a good feeling because, I had a lot of, a lot of my fam with me, what I'm saying, people who always supported me, what I'm saying, like, you was always at the games, what I'm saying, even, you being a year older than me, what I'm saying, out of high school. I remember you
Tell him I
showing
still
up,
came back from North
and
Carolina A&T.
K always showed up to the games and shit, what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, it's a blessing, bro. I think it's well deserved, what I'm saying. If I should give myself a pat on the back, it was crazy though, what I'm saying? Like just looking at all the names and stuff on there, what I'm saying. It ain't a lot of black people on there though, for real, what I'm saying? So like, it was cool, man. I'm glad I could leave, my mark up there, what I'm saying. I appreciate them, what I'm saying, recognizing me, for what I did, what I'm saying, between the lines, bro.
Oh, for sure. And shout out to Tino, too. Tino also got inducted into the Hall of Fame, one of the smoothest dudes I know. Shout out to T, man. Much love, bro.
Shout out to T, man.
Shout out to Tino. Congrats to you, Malik. Like I told you over the lines, I'm like, bruh, celebrate yourself, congratulate yourself. Like, not a lot of people can say that they've been inducted into their high school's Hall of Fame, inducted into any Hall of Fame. That's a big accomplishment. So, definitely, give yourself kudos, pat yourself on the back, do whatever you got to do. That's a big deal, brother, for real.
So appreciate you, Drizzy.
Yeah, man. And with that said, let's dive right into it. Mentioning G-Dub High School, that correlates with the topic at hand. The first topic on the agenda, which is West Virginia Prep Sports. And we want to start off with Cabell Midland High School defeating Parkersburg High School 45-6 in their Friday night win this past Friday. Their key players shined as Chase Smith scored 4 touchdowns in total, 3 rushing and 1 receiving. Their other key running back, Jackson Fetty, led the team actually with 150 rushing yards and adding 1 more score. Cabell Midland High School will look to face Oak Hill High School next week as they continue to show that they are one of the top teams in the MSAC. Moving on, undefeated and top team in the MSAC is Huntington High School as they overcame a slow start against Capitol High School with a 30-7 victory at Laley Field here in Charleston, West Virginia. Cap striked first, scoring the first touchdown, but Huntington scored 30 unanswered points, led by Curtis Jones, who rushed for 90 yards in the score. The Huntington Highlanders actually outrushed the Capitol Cougars 249 yards to 57. Huntington will look to move to 6-0 next week as they face a tough contest against Spring Valley High School, which is a great school, a great program. And speaking of Spring Valley High School, they beat my alma mater, South Charleston High School, 53-8 this past Friday night, handing SC their first loss since 2019, where Spring Valley forced 4 turnovers and outgained South Charleston in total yards 438 to 119. Spring Valley was led by their quarterback, Dalton Fouch, who threw for 279 yards and 4 touchdowns. Spring Valley will play Huntington next week in a crosstown showdown as South Charleston will look to bounce back against Malik's alma mater and Dre's alma mater, George Washington High School, who had a bye week this past week. So that's the quick rundown for the area's prep sports. A lot of big games, a lot of crazy outcomes, but hey, that's what we play for. It's a long season, so hopefully we can right our wrongs in reference to South Charleston. So,
are there any surprise outcomes or performances that stood out to you all?
I mean, we gotta address it, bro. Like, South Charleston got beat 53-8. Like,
There's a big elephant in the room.
It's a big elephant in the room. Yeah, let's talk about it, man. I mean, I ain't trying to, a couple of little homies, we shouting them out, play for SC. I don't think Wayne played this week either. You know what I'm saying? I do want to put that out there. Like,
yeah, 2 of their players were suspended.
This
past week.
Okay, yeah, I know that, but that ain't gonna make up for it's what 45 points. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's more than. It's more than 5 touchdowns, So, like, it's just, we finally got to see SC play somebody, bro. Like, like I asked y'all, a couple podcasts ago, how y'all feel about, them, getting the championship in last year during the, the COVID season. They didn't get to play, so they didn't get to play a lot of the tough teams, you know what I'm saying? So, like, we finally see them with some competition, and that was the outcome. And I understand, probably, I know Wayne for sure is one of their best players, you know what I'm saying? I don't know about the other kid, but.
McCorkle, he's one of their top receivers too.
Okay, got you, for sure, yeah. Me personally, I don't think 2 players can make up for that many points. Football is a different type of game, so it's just it's just out there. Like Dre said, it's an elephant in the room. We finally get to see them play somebody. Didn't really go their way. I'm sure it would have been closer a little bit. They probably would have put up a little more points with Wayne and them out there. I just I've been wanting to. I have discussions about this a lot, so it's just good to see, how it would shake, with them playing some stiff competition. Shout out to Spring Valley too. They've always been a tough team as well. So, I mean, it's no knock to SC really for losing to Spring Valley. A lot of people have lost to Spring Valley in the Valley, in the MSAC. They're a very physical football team.
Physical.
They've been putting D1 linemen, they've been pushing them out for the last few years as well. I was very anxious to see them play a team that I knew had talent, that could match them. So, I mean, if y'all got something to say about it, I just wanted to put that out there. I knew. I'm not saying, actually, we ain't even gonna get into it. Shout out to the youngins. It's nobody's celebrating their loss or anything like that. So don't think it's like that. You gotta play. You gotta line it up in football. You can't just assume just because they didn't lose any games last year, that they were just the top team, bringing it back this year because they hadn't lost any games as well. They haven't played the stiffer competition in the conference, so it was good to see, what happened there as far as them lining up and seeing exactly where they stood. But that's the biggest surprise to me, man. Other than that, I know Cabell Midland's a solid team. They've been in the state championship, a couple times in the last, few years. So nothing else really surprised me besides that. Huntington being 6-0, I keep hearing they're a strong football team. Everybody that's seen them play says, they're
looking like the old Hunt.
Yeah, they're like that, So I mean, it was no surprise to see them beat Capital either. But the SC is definitely what stood out most to me. 53-8 that's a strong win. That's a convincing win.
For sure, especially, outgaining them 438 to 119 in total yards. I mean, that's a 300-yard difference, man. You know what I mean? So, that's, if anything, as far as performances stood out, that's what stood out to me the most. If y'all know anything about South Charleston, y'all know we run the spread. We're full of athletes, so it's crazy that the outcome was the way it was, but I got a feeling they'll bounce back. World champions bounce back. They're coming off a bye week. They were missing 2 of their key players. You know what I mean? So it's, like I said, it's a long season. So I'll look for them to right their wrongs, and hopefully they can make up for it and face them again. But we definitely have to shore up some things in the trenches, and just continue to develop that physicality. And but yeah, I got faith in Coach Mays, man. So everything's gonna work out. But for sure, man, that when I saw that statistic, I'm like, man, 438 to 119, that's unheard of, especially for Spring Valley. I graduated 2011. I know he graduated 2012. You graduated 2011. Dre, we never lost to Spring Valley. You know what I mean? Like, ever. That wasn't even like a thought, no disrespect. So it's like, just to see, and like he said, congrats to Spring Valley over this decade. They've definitely turned over a new leaf. It's like he said, they're producing D1 athletes consistently. They even have the skill positions now. You know what I mean? If I recall correctly, their quarterback was in the run for the Kennedy a couple years ago. You know what I mean? So now they got the skill positions to go with the players and the big boys in the trenches. So it's definitely going to be tough to beat, but
you just knew it was always going to be a physical game, bro. Like,
for sure.
Spring Valley's always a physical team. I never lost to them either, but they were always that was always one of the most physical games on the schedule for sure, because they were just running right at you, man. They always had big linemen. They ain't always was pushing out the D1, like they had been the last recent years, but it was always strong. And also, before we continue, before Dre get on here, that also lets you know, like, with SC, like, that's showing you that everything's not, quarterback driven. I know their quarterback gets a lot of hype, and there's no down to that kid either, but you need your weapons out there. You need to be able to get it to your weapons and let them do things. You can't just do it all by yourself, just being a great quarterback. He's only as good as everybody is around him too, so I'm glad that shined a little light on that as well. You need your dogs around you always.
No, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I don't have much to add to what you guys already said. I think, Leak, you kind of hit the nail right on the head. And we'll see what happens in the second half of the season for South Charleston. We hope they can bounce back, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they will, man. It ain't too many tough teams in the conference. I just know that they hadn't really got to see anybody, like that. Where last year was the short year, and this year, up until now, they just hadn't been able to play the stiffer competition. So that was my only thing, honestly. Yeah, I'm sure they'll bounce back, man. They got talent up there, for sure.
For sure. So, Kate, any surprise performances, anything like that stood out to you?
Outside of Spring Valley, I won't lie to you, man. Everybody else handled business. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not surprised necessarily that Spring Valley balled out like that, but I'm just surprised at just how much they outgained us, man. It's just different times, man. But like I said, South Charleston is coming off a bye, and not to make excuses, that's their first game on the grass. So, hey, fellas, not every game's going to be on turf. It's still football at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, not to make excuses at all. I seen where Coach May said that, and he told them that it was going to be different. So I just hope the youngins out there, that do play for South Charleston, just prepare yourself. You know what I mean? You may have to travel somewhere in the playoffs where they got grass and not turf. It's going to be cold when it's playoff time too. So you got to lock in, man. You know what I mean?
For those who don't know, can you explain the difference between playing on turf and playing in grass? What the key difference is?
Me personally, I think you're able to move
way
quicker on turf. You can move better on turf because you don't got to worry about like just like your foot sinking in or anything. It's level playing field like across the whole 120 yards. Sideline to sideline, end zone to end zone. It's level playing field. Everything feels the same. If it gets wet, it's still not. It can be a little slick, but they've got these little like rubber things in the turf
like
that
pellets,
like rubber pellets. So it's easy to keep your footing and stuff like that. Whereas and if you're playing on like natural grass or something like that, it's no telling where you step on the field. Like, some places you might sink down, or you might just get dirty, I mean, like it's a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like you might fall into a puddle. Now you cold the whole game, it's a little things like that that shows the difference between natural surface and then like turf. So yeah, just you move better, you're more agile, more quicker on turf for sure. We used to love playing on turf. I was in high school. Like, we knew it was going to be a better game if we got to play on turf.
Word.
Yeah.
Word. I think that's it for prep. Kay, go ahead and transition us into NCAA.
Yeah, man. NCAA football. One of the best things that graced this earth. Shout out to Derek Pitts Jr., one of Charleston's very own, man. Let's start off by saying that Clemson, North Carolina State defeated number 9 Clemson this past weekend. It's their first win against Clemson in a decade. Their first win against a top 10 team since 2012. So I'm just happy for Reek, man. Reek had 6 total tackles. He played big. He starts corner. He looked good in that 24, boy. And that Kobe, you look good out there, boy. Shout out to Reek. But yeah, man, that was a big game right there, man. Big takeaway. Shaq stormed the field, man. We got he FaceTimed the group. I was getting prepared for the Alabama game, Reek. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't answer the FaceTime call, but I was with him in spirit. I was with Shaq in spirit. I could feel him. I knew why he was calling. I just had to get right. But nah, man, I'm happy for you, bro. And yeah, damn, that was a crazy game, man. 002. It was a thriller. 002.
For sure. Yeah,
hey,
shout out.
Did y'all see Mari's Instagram story?
Nah.
Bro, that joint had me, bro. What you say, Kay?
I said I saw it, but like what he do?
Nah, I was talking about where Mama Dion put on the helmet.
Oh,
that joint had me, bro. Like she a fool.
Man, everybody.
And Shaq bending over tired. He's stripping, taking his shirt off and stuff, tired. I'm like, yo.
That's funny, man. Yeah, shout out to that whole fam, man. Shout out to Reek. He's got a good support system. They all are there checking him out, and I love that for real.
For sure.
We all watch Reek grow up, so it's beautiful to see him performing on a good stage like that, a big stage like that, because he definitely had a good game. A lot of solid open field tackling, man. For real.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Good coverage skills that game. I watched majority of it for real. It ran through to my Florida game, and I still was watching it. So that was a big win, man. I think the only thing as well, that's their coach's first time being the top 10 in the stadium. I think when they won the top 10 game,
got you,
some years back, I don't think that was actually at home. So I remember them saying that on the broadcast or something like that. He was talking about that when they had interviewed him before the game or the night before or something. Um, but yeah, I mean, my takeaway from that is shoot. I mean,
And the quarterback stepped up big, man. You know, that was one of the biggest things going in, you know, because NC State's defense is really stout.
yeah, they got good defense for sure.
So, you know, I was telling Shaquille, I'm like, man, if the offense can put up some points against Clemson, we've seen Clemson in these recent weeks. If they could, you know, score, you know, and sure enough, you know, shout out to NC State's quarterback, man, Devin Leary. You know, he had a great game the other day, going 32 for 44, 238 yards and 4 touchdowns, man. No picks. So
Yeah,
he came up big, man.
I think that's where I was gonna go with it too. Like, this ain't one of the Clemson teams that we've seen in recent years. I don't think the quarterback is as good as they've had. You know, they went from Watson to Trevor Lawrence to him, so you know that's a lot of pressure. You know, I just don't think he's really. I mean, Shaq. I was talking to Shaq though. You know, Shaq said he big as hell though. Like, he said he looked like a power forward.
Nah, he
Like,
looked like it,
yeah,
sure.
Shaq said he huge. He walked past him on the field. You know, but I think I don't know. It's just something different about this Clemson team. They don't got. Of course, they got the receivers. You know, Reek and them had to. You know, Reek and them had the matchup for real. For real, to be honest with you, that's their advantage. They do got some studs on the outside, but the running backs and I know they had a couple guys get hurt during the game as well, but it just doesn't look like the same Clemson that we've come to know. You know what I'm saying? Come to know like these last few years, to be honest with you. Like,
No.
they just they just don't look like they got the athletes like they normally do. You know what I'm saying? Besides on the outside, you know what I'm saying? It's besides on the defensive side as well. You know, the defense is still solid. You know, you can't take nothing away from the defense, but
Yeah,
yeah.
the defense held him down. That's what
Yeah,
was
you can't
keeping them
take
in
nothing
there.
away from the defense at all.
It was 13-13 for the longest.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just that quarterback. I don't know if it's the pressure or whatever. He's just not living up, or they just the scheme. I don't think they got really no home run hitter like they had, you know, ETN.
that's what I was about to say.
You know,
He led them in rushing. DJ
Yeah.
did, bro. He had 9 carries for 63 yards. I
and
mean,
that's really when they start moving the ball a little bit. When he start taking off, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, they had a couple like design QB draws out the empty looks. That's when they start moving the ball just a little bit more, but it just doesn't look the same, honestly. But shout out to NC State. They did what they had to do. That's a big win
for sure.
for sure. You know, I think it's either they are a top by themselves or they tie with somebody at the top of the ACC right now. You know, so they control their own destiny, man. That's what you want to.
So,
That's
For
what you
sure.
want to be doing.
for
And shout
sure.
out number 86, man. NC State's wide receiver, man. Emezy, you know, bro had about, let's see here. He had 14 catches, 116 yards in the tutty. He was going crazy.
That's tough. He a big dude too.
He is.
I seen they was having trouble. Like, Clemson's got a touted corner, Booth. He's projected as, like, you know, one of the top corners to come out for the draft this next draft we're about to have. And you know, he was having a tough time with him. To be honest with you, that's a big dude.
Word. Speaking of, Reek looked like he put on some weight too, so I'm happy to see that. He look healthy out there. He looked healthy. We're gonna transition into another upset. Uh, no, actually not an upset. Number 12 Notre Dame beats 18 with Wisconsin. Um, number 16 Arkansas beats number 7 Texas A&M with a big upset. There we got Baylor beating Iowa State. Georgia Tech beats number 21 North Carolina, and then we rounded out with Oklahoma State beating number 25 Kansas State. Any of these upsets stick out to you guys?
I mean, shoot, To be real with you, all of them do. To be honest.
Yeah, in different
Well, shit, let's start from the top then. Start from the top.
Like Notre Dame, I seen Notre Dame beating Wisconsin. I seen Notre Dame beating Wisconsin for sure. You know, I've had the chance to watch Wisconsin play just because I'm a betting guy. You know, so I've seen them play. I know they leave a lot on the field. It's the same story with Wisconsin every year. You know, solid defense, solid offensive line, can run the ball. You know, but the quarterback play is still left to be desired, as it always has been. But that was a good game too, though. Don't get it twisted. Like Notre Dame scored 31 points in the fourth quarter. So that's why the score looks so lopsided. But Wisconsin was right in that game. And Jake Cohn, Notre Dame's quarterback, actually used to be Wisconsin's quarterback last year. So it was a little heated rivalry there as well. But starting off with just that one for sure. I've seen that happening. You got anything to say about that one?
I just think the jig is up on Wisconsin, man. You know, like you said, you kind of touched on it. I think they are a very good team defensively. However, offensively, man, I mean, you got to play complementary football, and turning the ball over 5 times as a quarterback. I mean, that's just not a great recipe for success. Unfortunately, he threw 4 picks and fumbled. And when I say he, I'm talking about Graham Mertz, Wisconsin starting quarterback. He's a true sophomore, so he can improve. And of course, I'm not trying to be hard on him or anything, but man, 4 picks, it's just tough, man. And if you look at his season stats, bro has 566 yards and 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions.
Yeah, that's not gonna get it.
So it's just gonna be tough, man. It's tough to win ball games that way. But yeah, that was my biggest takeaway, was just the amount of turnovers Wisconsin had as a team on Saturday.
What we got after that? The A&M game.
Yeah, Arkansas beats Texas A&M. Now y'all are talking to 2 SEC guys, so I'm an Alabama fan. He's a Florida fan. We don't have to get into that because we did play each other the other week. We don't even gotta talk about it. We know what happened. But
they escaped. Y'all barely got out of there, bro.
Don't do that. Don't do that. A win is a win. A win is a win. And I didn't hear from Malik Drake after we. This is one of the most optimistic Florida fans.
I wasn't in the state. There was nothing to talk about.
Right.
I wasn't here, so I couldn't argue with you. You know what I'm saying? I just wasn't around, so we couldn't have the discussion anyway. But I did watch the game. I know what happened. He knows that game was going to overtime if we didn't miss an extra point earlier in that game. So we'll just leave it there. But they got the win. Shout out to them. I'm glad it was a good measuring stick to see where we was. I tell you what, though, they don't want to see us again after what I just seen. They would not want to see us again.
Hey, Dre, they haven't beat us in over a decade, man. We 8-0 against Florida. He know that.
We pushed them around, Dre.
You know how we had Tebow crying last time we played. Let me stop. You know what I'm saying?
Pushed them around.
We're not getting into that. You know what I'm saying? However, roll tide, by the way. But yeah, man, I was interested into this game mainly because we play both Arkansas and Texas A&M in reference to Alabama. So I was looking forward to just see how they play. Normally Texas A&M can score a lot, man. That's normally one thing they pride themselves on being able to, score and spread people out, man. But against Arkansas, they struggled. Arkansas, they had a couple trick plays that, got them up to an early lead, a 10-0 lead. But yeah, that I was surprised kind of to see Arkansas win, but not too much. What you think about that game, bro?
I mean, that one, it wasn't really surprising to me, to be honest with you. I had a feeling going into the week Arkansas could really win that game. Texas A&M is having, like so many other teams, they're having quarterback deficiencies right now. They're not getting good quarterback play. There's a lot of talent on that team. Don't get me wrong. But if your quarterback isn't any good, especially in today's today's football, how the game's played, like you're not gonna get too far. So they had barely escaped these last couple weeks. So I seen that coming. I seen that coming a mile away. Arkansas looks better than what I thought they probably were. Other than that, I seen it happening. And I'm glad I did get to watch it. And I watch all the big matchups, so I'm not just a homer where I'm only watching my games. I like to see good football across the board. So definitely tuned in. Definitely seen the upset. It was a neutral site game.
It was at Jerry Jones' house, right?
Yeah, it was in Dallas. So yeah, I was happy. I was happy to see some good football. Happy to see an upset because Texas A&M was ranked inside the top 10. That just moves my Gators up. That's my homerness right there. If you want to get on it, but yeah, I seen that one coming for real. For real. It was nothing really too shocking. Arkansas looks good. They're running the ball good. They got one of the best receivers in the nation. So it was nothing too shocking for me, to be honest with you.
You talking about Treylon Burks?
Yeah.
That's what I was just looking at. He went crazy. He had 6 receptions for 167 yards. His longest was 85 yards.
So. Yeah, he's tough. He's a problem all the way.
Went crazy.
Now with State, that didn't really shock me either. Iowa State's just, I don't know. It's something about Iowa State. The media loves them. They got 2 good players. They're running back Breece Hall and Brock Purdy's their quarterback. And they've showed flashes in previous years, but I wasn't really. They've escaped a few games this year as well, so I wasn't too shocked to see that. I think they had a loss. They might have lost to like Kansas State or something like that. So it wasn't. That wasn't a shock. No, they didn't lose to Kansas State. They lost to Iowa. The coach still hasn't beat Iowa. So I wasn't shocked about that one either. I don't know about you, Kay.
I'm not going to front. I thought Iowa State would be a little better this year due to the fact that they had a lot of returning players from last year.
So they came in ranked in the top 10, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you know anything about the Big 12, man, coming in, that was supposed to be one of the favorites just due to that roster coming back. It's a lot of carryover from last year. So we just thought, especially with how Iowa State closed out the year last year with the momentum they had, you just thought that they'd be able to continue the trend. But on Saturday, I mean, we're watching the highlights now. We have them up. Baylor, they were able to win on all sides of football, man, all sides of the field, from defense to offense to special teams. They had a kickoff return, like a 98-yard kickoff return, bro. So they were able to win all 3 phases of the game. So that's why we got the total that we got. But I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't say surprised, but I just thought Iowa State would be a little better than what they were, what they've displayed in these recent weeks. But
Baylor's got a wide receiver that I like too. I think he's going to be, he's already a player, but I think he can be something in the league too. His name is Tyquan Thornton. I like his game. He can stretch the field, man. Was once a Florida commit, but Baylor had a better situation set up for him, so he ended up going out there, which you got to respect.
Yeah, he scored a tutty the other day too. Had 3 for 44 with 1 tut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. What were you about to say though?
Nah, I was about to say, what's next, Georgia?
Yeah,
that's North Carolina.
I don't know what's going on with North Carolina this year. You're looking at 2 UNC fans when it comes to college hoops. I really like North Carolina's quarterback, man. He's been hooping his first couple years in college, but this year I have no idea. Like, not of course putting the onus on him. I'm just talking about North Carolina as a whole, man. I have no idea what's going on with them here.
Just it's just the projections, man. Like, North Carolina was a better football team last year. Don't get me wrong, but they lost a couple of their top players, like the Monty Brown guy that was their top receiver last year, They lost somebody else too at the wide receiver position, and then they lost their running back, Javonte Williams or whatever. He plays for the Broncos.
For the Broncos, yeah, I was about to say, I remember.
So
Brad.
like they lost a lot of talent, and they was just really putting it on the quarterback's shoulders because he has been so good. So it's just all projection, thinking, he's gonna make up for some of that because he keeps progressing and getting better. Don't get me wrong, he is a good quarterback. He'll go first round for sure, probably, but yeah, I was never really sold on UNC coming into the year, to be honest with you, and that's just opinionated, from where I've watched enough football and known that you can't go off those bowl wins. A lot of people, they carry the momentum in from last year based off of who they beat in the bowl, and it's never. I mean, college has more carryover than NFL for sure, but you still got to check out the roster. You still got to be in tune with recruiting, and who plays in those bowl games. A lot of people sit out of those bowl games now. It's you're not playing the full team anymore. So it's just projections.
So do you think the projections are wrong? Like they're just going off of last year? Do you think they're not doing in-depth rankings? They're just like whatever.
Of course, I feel like a lot of media does that. That you'll have one media platform that says this about the teams, or like a lot of them will look at Vegas and their odds and stuff like that, and they'll just all group them in together, and all go with what another media platform says, you know what I'm saying, without doing their true independent, strong research. And that's just what I think about it, to be honest with you, because I'm pretty sure North Carolina was ranked ahead of us. My Gators coming into the year, just based off of how it ended,
Yeah, Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Hey, he was supposed to be a Heisman favorite, man.
Yeah. Same with like Oklahoma. Oklahoma hasn't looked good this year at all. I know we're not going to talk about Oklahoma, but the reason why Oklahoma came in number 2 is because they blasted us in the bowl game. But if like half our team didn't play in that bowl game, so you can't look at that. You can't let them, that last time you see a team, carry over into the next year. It's a whole new year, and you got to really, like I said, you got to see who they're playing the last time you see them. A lot of these teams are not putting out their number one team, in the bowl games. But Jeff Collins, he's the coach at Georgia Tech. He used to be the Florida defensive coordinator before he got that job. So I check out Georgia Tech. I check for him a little bit.
Don't look like they're running the wing T anymore.
Nah, they're not running the wing T, and that was that's coming in. That's going to be difficult anyway. You got to change the whole roster around because they're so used to running a different offense and whatnot. But they got one of my favorite running backs in the nation, Jahmyr Gibbs. He's not well known, but if you ever get a chance to see him play, check him out. The kid he's like that. He was recruited by everybody in the nation.
You said Georgia Tech does?
Yeah, his name's Jahmyr Gibbs, but he ended up going to Georgia Tech. He's from Atlanta for real. So he just stayed home and stuck around with Jeff Collins. So I respect that,
For sure. Especially going to Georgia Tech. If y'all know anything about Tech, that's not an easy school.
It's a tough school to get into, man. Yeah. But
and shout out to Georgia Tech's quarterback, man, Jeff Sims. He came up big the other day, just as a dual threat option. He went 10 for 13 for 112 yards and 1 touchdown passing the ball, but rushing, bruh had 10 carries for 128 yards and 3 tutties. And Gibbs, the gentleman that you just spoke on, he had 13 for 64. He added another tutty. So that's I know North Carolina is kind of, it's been a down year for them given their, goals and expectations. But that's still a big win for Georgia Tech, man. Ranked team, ACC matchup. So that was a good win for the program right there, man.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff Sims, just following a little bit of recruiting. He was supposed to go. He was one of the last quarterbacks Jimbo was recruiting before he left Florida State. So Jimbo's a good evaluator at the quarterback position. Jimbo Fisher, who's the the A&M, Texas A&M's head coach. He used to be Florida State's head coach. He's a good quarterback evaluator, you know. So anytime you see him on somebody, they got a little bit of talent for real. So I mean, that's not shocking either. I'm glad to see, you know, he's having a little bit of success there. On the last game, I know we got Oklahoma State, Kansas State.
Beating Kansas State.
I'm really upset about this game. It was the last game on my parlay ticket Saturday. You know, I got to throw my betting in there. You know, nobody seen Kansas State coming out that flat. It's like they just forgot how to play football, to be honest with you. Oklahoma State hasn't been a world beater. They struggle with, you know, Missouri State's football team. And Missouri State is, they might be D1 AA football program. You know, I really couldn't tell you. I don't know who they play in what conference or whatever. I know they're not, you know, like they're not really non-power 5. I think they're below that, you know. So it was shocking to see Kansas State get handled like that. Like I said, I didn't see this one happening at all. At least I seen it being a little bit of a better game than what it was, but they couldn't stop Oklahoma State from start to finish. You know, they tried to make a little comeback at the end, but it just wasn't enough. They got themselves in too big of a hole. So yeah, that was probably the biggest upset to me, I guess you can say, since Kansas State was number 25. But yeah, I felt the way about that one, man.
Nah, yeah, I was about to say that's definitely one of the biggest upsets. And, you know, not to say Oklahoma State, you know, take anything from them because, you know, they're 4-0 right now. So it's looking like it might be flipped. It's looking like, you know, Oklahoma State's making a great case to, you know, get up there in that top 25 and remain in there. But, yeah, man, definitely a slow start for Kansas State, unfortunately. We're watching their highlights, too. What was that, a punt return or kick return? But
kick return right there.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State's quarterback threw for 366 yards.
They couldn't stop them all game, Dre.
2 touchdowns.
All game. They was
and ran for another one. So he did his thing.
Yeah,
definitely did his thing.
Yards of offense, man. I mean, that's
tough.
It's tough to beat, man, if you're not going to match it. You know what I mean? So
100%. 100%. So any games we looking forward to this week?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Alabama versus Ole Miss. I'm looking forward to that.
It's a huge weekend of football coming up, man.
I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Alabama plays Ole Miss. Arkansas plays Georgia. That's a top 10 matchup.
Cincinnati and
Notre Dame. Yeah. It's like 5 good ones out there, you know, besides your normal football. It's a couple slipping off the top right now, but
and we were just talking about both Baylor and Oklahoma State, who were both unranked prior to last week's wins. Well, now Baylor's ranked 21 and Oklahoma State is ranked 19th, and they got a Saturday night primetime matchup against each other at 7 p.m.
Got you. Yeah.
So that's
a good one.
That's good. That definitely should be a good one for sure.
Indiana, Penn State, Auburn, LSU, UCLA, Arizona State. It's a lot of good games this week. The next 2 weeks of college football are really, really solid matchups because I think it flip-flops. I think Alabama plays maybe Arkansas the next week, the following week, and then Georgia might play Ole Miss or something, or Ole Miss and Arkansas plays each other the next week, and then Bama. Y'all think y'all play A&M?
Yeah, we play. I was just about to say we play A&M next week.
Yeah, so it's the next 2 weeks of college football should be good. So I'm excited just to watch the rundown. I know we got Kentucky. They're undefeated right now, so that might end up being a ranked matchup, depending on how they rank those guys. So yeah, the next few weeks should just be exciting football across the board, across multiple conferences. I suggest everybody tune in.
100%. 100%. Now let's transition into the the NFL. Game of the week, we got Rams versus the Buccaneers. Talk to us a little bit about that game.
Bro,
Yeah,
that's your squad. I let bro take it. And let me say this just real quick. As painful as it is for me to admit this, man, the Rams look good. They got the receivers. They
Yeah,
got the field.
I watched that
Coop
game.
killing in the slot.
They
Goodness.
just controlled the whole game.
yeah, dominant win, man. I'm a Rams fan. Shout out to my other Rams fans out there. We had a dominant win. There's nothing I can really say about it. I was talking to one of the homies, and I don't really like these big time matchups early in the regular season because normally if it's a close game, you done showed a lot. You know what I'm saying, or so if you got to play that team again later down the line, they might have a little edge on you. You know what I'm saying? Just a couple things they can tweak to get them over the top if it's such a close game. But like we thoroughly dominated this game, so I'm happy we had that type of win. And to be honest with you, I mean, no bias. I think we look like, if not the best, definitely one of the best teams in the league. And I knew all we needed was a quarterback switch up. To be honest with you, our defense, we had the number one defense in the league last year. People don't know that, and I don't like the NFL. It's a new season every year, so you can't really take that as carryover. But when you got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, two different levels of the defense, where you got top five player Aaron Donald is definitely number one in his position. It's arguable for Ramsey, but when you got studs like that, man, and you just a couple plays away, we made the playoffs with average quarterback play last year, so I knew, if we could get a different quarterback in there, it would look like this. To be honest with you, Sean McVay's like he doesn't have to talk Stafford down to the last 15 seconds and let him know what to look for. He can give him the play and go on to the next play while we're trying to run it. So I have nothing much to say besides we look good, man. I ain't gonna brag too much about it. Still more work to be done. We still got a lot of season left. Still got to go through the division gauntlet. Um, but I like how we look on all phases, man. I think we're a solid team, and I like our chances versus anybody any Sunday.
Yeah. You know, as a Niner fan, like I say, we definitely we definitely gonna face each other, like you said, in the gauntlet, man. That NFC West is crazy right now. But one of my biggest takeaways is how the Rams weren't able to necessarily run the ball uh, that great against them. I want to say Sony Michelle had like 20 carries for like 67 yards or something like that. So they weren't. And anybody that knows about the Bucks defense, it's tough to run against that defense, right? But they still like dominated the game without being able to fully dominate them running the ball. You know what I mean? That just goes to show that QB play is very essential in our league, man, in the NFL. Um, I'm not as big as a Jared Goff critic as where Malik and I've talked about this before. In their Super Bowl run, he made some great throws, some very timely throws in that NFC Championship game against the Saints. Just the way he was able to shift his body and keep himself composed to make some of those throws in reference to Jared Goff. It definitely showed his skill set. But man, you get a guy, one of the legends, one of the legendary gunslingers in Matthew Stafford, man. You get touchdowns from Cooper Kupp and Deshaun Jackson, and who's 34 years old, still taking the top off the defense, man. It's crazy, man. So, and they got a good tight end. I like Tyler Higbee. You know what I mean? So, I got to take my fan hat off and put my host cap on. You know what I mean, and be neutral. But for sure, I can't front. The Rams look good yesterday, man. Like I said, that was America's game of the week, and I was definitely tuned in. I have NFL Red Zone, of course, and I have the option to watch individual games, of course. So I was able to catch a lot of this Rams Bucks game, and man, it's if you're able to do that to the Bucks, who was looking like the best team in the NFC, then you're definitely up there. You know what I mean? As one of as one of the top. So, that's who we're aiming for in reference to showing that we can prove that we're one of the top teams. And, it's in reference to my Niners, but, salute to the Rams, man. They definitely handled business yesterday.
Sometimes you just need like efficient running, bro. Like we don't got the Ty Gurley no more, you know what I'm saying? But what McVay wants to do, he wants to spread it around and throw it, you know what I'm saying, pitch it around anyway, Stafford too. So it was just a lot of efficient running, couple yards here, first down here, first down there, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just a lot of keep the chains moving. You can do a lot with that, just having possession of the balls. It's just a lot of efficient running. I don't think we'll ever be a dominant run team. And I don't think a dominant run team actually wins Super Bowls these years, like how the game's played now. You know, once you get into the playoffs, that's the first thing they try to stop, That's the very first thing they try to stop. So I was, like Kay said, like we stuck at it, and that's what you got to do. You got to keep the defense honest. But it was just more so about just being efficient with the running. So I really couldn't. I know Henderson didn't play yesterday, so I really couldn't. I couldn't talk down upon it because, like you said, we dominated the game, without it. So yeah, shout out to the Rams, man. We look good for sure.
Word. You guys definitely did. Moving on, the Ravens beat the Lions in exciting fashion off of a 66-yard game-winning field goal. Wow, that was crazy.
I was on the edge of my seat. I'm not gonna lie. I kept watching that over and over, man. Shout out to Justin Tuck.
The joint bounced and then tucked up in that joint.
Dre, I was surprised that they even tried it. I'm like, this looks off. Like,
Hey, Leak was going crazy on the Ravens all day yesterday. Like this nigga was letting the Ravens have.
I thought the Ravens was the last game I was waiting for on a parlay ticket, and then I'll explain that a little bit further. I'm thinking that's the last game I'm waiting on. Everything else is looking good. Everything is ending with the 1 o'clocks. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to win. But I kept flipping to the Lions and Ravens game, and then I seen the Lions score the touchdown. Then the Lions got the ball back, and they marching down the field. They kicked the field goal. Not that much time left. Ravens don't have no timeout, so I'm pissed off. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm mad about it. Like they about to blow my money. And I called the group chat, Shaq and Coney, and answered, when he hit that 66-yarder, I went crazy. You'd have thought the Ravens was my team, man. Like I went crazy in the crib because I'm thinking I just won, this bread. And lo and behold, I had Seattle still left on the ticket. Completely forgot I put them bums on the ticket, man. And they actually lost it for me, to be honest with you. So it was a bad Sunday. Just because of that. But yeah, I was going crazy. And Dre's right. I was talking cash about the Ravens on Twitter, man. I was mad how they looked, man.
Yeah, you was on Reese's line. I seen that, man.
Mad about it.
But first and foremost, the game shouldn't even have been that close, though. I got Hollywood Brown on fantasy. You know what I mean? I would like for you. I didn't start him this past week, but that's one of the youngins, in reference to the receivers in our league that I would like to see, just be more productive. This is almost like a contract year for him. This is his third season. So, it's about that time where they got to make a decision as far as extensions. And, him and Lamar, they both Florida boys, you know what I mean? They ride together to and from the game. So, that's, Hollywood, we definitely gotta lock that in, man, and catch some of those passes. He should have at least two.
He should have had 2, but I mean, I say
he dropped like 3 touchdown passes, right?
Yeah,
potential touchdown.
Ran another one in. He had the defender beat by a couple yards. So if he'd have caught it, he'd have definitely probably got close, if not in the end zone. Dropped one in the end zone and another one clean running into the end zone. Yeah. So like, yeah, the thing I don't like about that, man, is just, they always be on Lamar's head, when he misses his throws or, it's not looking as good or looking like they think it should look. But then you got stuff like that, like somebody's dropping something every game. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you watch that Ravens game, like, not saying it's always touchdowns, but he be having a lot of drops, man. And just imagine what his stats look like if Hollywood Brown catches those 3 tugs, you know,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
and he's putting it in the bread basket. You know, there's nothing they can say about it. So that's the only thing that frustrates me about that situation. But like Kay said, he should be. He should know, like, this ain't the year to be dropping touchdown passes, man.
Facts.
With the bread on the line.
Who else we got? That, real quick, just wanted to touch on that Titans versus Colts game. You know what I mean? Just because that's a division game. I wanted to see what the Colts would do. Normally they play each other really well, and it was a close game yesterday. Like I said, a division game. Derrick Henry had 113 yards. Julio got hurt towards the end of the game, so hopefully he's all right. But man, who would have thought going into the year with the defense the Colts have, with some of the moves they made, as far as grabbing the quarterback. I got some good receivers. I feel like it's just surprising to see them go 0-3, man. That's one of the teams that's definitely, so far as we're heading into the first quarter of the NFL season. That's one of the biggest surprises, man. The Colts being 0-3, but I just wanted to touch on that game, like I said, because that's a division game right there, and I just thought for sure, they normally have bangers, but and it was still a good game, but it's ultimately Tennessee Titans came up big at the end of the game and closed that out and got that W. Shout out to Ryan Tannehill. You got him on fantasy, don't you?
Yeah, I don't start him though.
Got you.
Yeah,
I thought so. But
his first
matter of
two
fact,
games
we played
was
each other on fantasy this week.
Mm-hmm.
We don't got to talk about that either. It's been a rough couple weeks for Malik. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? We don't got to talk about that either. Man, oh man.
I'm not worried about that, man. Like, I don't control that. So they go out there and play. I just put them in the lineup. Tannehill has been terrible. I was one of the guy that had the Ravens running backs that got hurt, so it's just Dalvin Cook didn't play this week. It's just been an injury prone season. I don't have no control over that, Tree. So I'm tripping off the fantasy losses because I truly have no control over it.
But yeah, Tennessee beat the Indianapolis Colts 25-16 yesterday, and transitioning, not to be too crazy, but overreaction Mondays, man. Are the Bengals serious? What you think? Late beating the Steelers yesterday? That's a big, big, big win.
Hey, I will say this real quick, and I'm gonna let y'all do y'all's thing. The clips on Twitter of Big Ben, bro,
yeah.
what was Cuz doing? Bro was out there drunk or something.
It looks bad.
It's Father Thomas taking it. See it. I cannot believe it. Like, again, I'm a Niner fan, y'all, but I love Big Ben. I had Big Ben. Normally I draft him in fantasy as one of my backups, because I just, love how consistent he is as far as, his passing yardage and touchdowns, although it's kind of been dipping these past couple years. But this year, and I don't know if it's because of that pectoral injury he has that I read about, but it's that line too,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Najee can't really get off my Alabama guy, even though he had like 14 catches for over 100 receiving yards. But
he probably shouldn't have played, to be honest with you. Big Ben's he's the guy that does play through injuries. That's what he's been known for his whole career, toughing it out. But like with Father Time, you getting up there in age, like you just ain't gonna be able to do it no more, So I'll give him a little bit benefit of the doubt. He probably shouldn't have played. But that Pittsburgh Steelers, the offense has just been on a down slope since they got rid of Le'Veon and AB back a few years ago. It's just a lot of pitch and catch, dink and dunk. They thought the offensive line isn't the same. As Kay was saying, but you can't replace generational talent like that. Like Le'Veon's one of the best running backs the Steelers ever had. AB might be the best receiver in their history, of the whole team, of the whole franchise. So it's gonna be hard to replace stuff like that.
I agree.
I'm not going. I like the Bengals. Don't get me wrong. I like Joe Burrow. Uh, that's probably not my overreaction, though. I mean, I think they're all right.
Definitely looking better than what I anticipated. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's just because you didn't know how the offensive line was going to hold up, to
That's
be honest
exactly
with
what it
you.
was.
Yeah, like he got sacked so many times last year, which ultimately led to him getting hurt, and they didn't really address it in the draft. They took Chase with their first round pick, so you didn't know how it was going to look, to be honest with you. So I understand what you're saying, but I feel like my overreaction would be more so with the Raiders. I know nobody thought the Raiders was going to be 3-0, so that would be my more overreaction. But yeah, I think the Bengals look good. I like the Bengals. I'm glad Jamar Chase, he ain't dropped nothing since they've been on his head about preseason.
Hooping.
He scored a touchdown in every game this year. So
he got like 4 in 3 games, right?
Yeah, so I like how the Bengals are looking for sure. I mean, I knew the defense was somewhat solid, uh, but yeah, I'm not too high on the Steelers win. Let me just put it that way.
Got you.
I'm not too high on the Steelers win. They lost. Who did they lose to last week? The Bengals lost a game already. I know they beat the Vikings, but they lost somebody. They lost to somebody else that I was more shocked about, to be honest with you.
The Steelers or the Bengals?
The Bengals. I forget. They lost to somebody last week, and it was a 3-point game. It wasn't nothing major.
To the Bears.
To the Bears. Oh yeah. That was a slip up right there. The Bears are terrible.
Offensively, defensively, respect to Chicago. I still think their defense is pretty stout.
It's sorry. Yeah, I mean it is sorry. Yeah. I mean, but
it's that O line that's really just
can't do that with that terrible.
Yeah.
Like
Allen Robinson, I need you to kind of, kick it in the gear. You feel me?
Shoot, I'm the one got him on fantasy. I had to take him out the lineup. They can't even get bruh the ball, man. Like it's just a bad year in fantasy. Like I said, I don't control none of that. Dalton can't get him the ball. I know Justin Fields ain't getting him the ball, so he had to come out. So yeah, it's bad, but sorry, we live to fight another week, man.
For sure. Well, speaking of wins, you're high on. Are you high on this Chargers win where they beat the Chiefs yesterday?
Yeah, I took the Chargers. I had the Chargers. Me and Coney talked about that before the game. Coney called me and was like, "Bro, the Chiefs gonna be 1-2 after today," and I'm like, I took the Chargers too. Like, so I like Justin Herbert, man. He's a stud for real, for real. I love Justin Herbert's game for real, man.
I do too, and I'm not just saying that because I got him on fantasy.
Yeah, I like Justin Herbert a lot, to be honest. So I wasn't surprised, with Derwin James coming back for that defense, that gives them a little bit of a uptick in that secondary. It was a little bit bad last year, but with him coming back and picking up right where he left off, the injury not affecting him, I knew all they needed was to shore up the defense a little bit. I knew Justin Herbert and the receivers they could move the ball. So I had the Chargers yesterday. That was one of the picks I had, to be honest with you. So that really didn't shock me, man.
Got you. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was shocked. Keenan Allen, I got both Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert in fantasy. They both played well yesterday. But my thing is, and not to say, of course, Patrick Mahomes is a great talent. I would just like to see him be a little more careful with the balls. I know he's keeping himself for that last interception he had, man. That's just, I couldn't believe he threw that. That's what I'm more shocked about is the fact that he threw that and tried that. You know what I mean? And,
I think they had 3 turnovers in like their first 4 possessions of the game or something like that, man.
I mean, it shows how good they are because they were able to stay in the game.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But it's just like, I want to say that year that the Niners, we lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, right? There was a highlight that showed Patrick Mahomes almost, getting intercepted that season. And had it gone through, he might have had like close to 20 picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course, that's hypothetical, not to bring that up, but he has shown in the past that, he can be, I won't say careless with the ball, but he's just he reminds me so much of Brett Favre, whom I love. You know what I mean? They're always trying to make a play. And sometimes, you kind of got to stay in the confines of the system, man. And I know you heard this. We all heard this, never do too much, especially in football. Like that's
Keep it
sometimes like,
simple, stupid.
yep, yep, the KISS theory. So, shout out to Coach McCreary too that taught us that. But yeah, man, gotta, like you said, keep it simple sometimes, man. But yeah, that was definitely a big win yesterday for the Los Angeles.
Should the Chiefs be concerned?
Yeah, because their defense isn't playing good. Like normally, he's able to overcome the defense, and that's really why they stay in a lot of games.
They just outscore people.
They can just outscore you for real. You gotta stay on pace with them or jump out on them to really give yourself a chance. But yeah, they should be a little concerned just based off of that right there. Like their defense isn't playing the way it should. I know Chris Jones moved to DN this year. He's been looking like that's not really his position. He's definitely one of the most dominant D tackles when he's right there in the middle. And I'm sure that could help with the run game too. But yeah, it's just like not going their way this year. Like I said, like that's how Patty plays. So you can't really knock him for it. He's got a Super Bowl. He's won so many games playing the way that he plays. So they gave him all that money for it as well. But yeah, that's just something they gotta look at, man. If they don't shore up the turnovers and the sloppiness, yeah, they last in their division right now. Who would have thought that coming up on the quarter of the season, the first quarter? So yeah, they should be concerned, Dre.
Where y'all see me over here bouncing around. I'm in my DJ bag right now. About to play something real quick.
What is this?
I know my nigga Kayvon hurt right now. His 49ers lost yesterday in a
Look, I
was playing the Heartbreak Hotel by Whitney Houston.
That's one of the better losses, though. I mean, I want to touch on it for a second. We can. Like, I don't think that was such a bad loss, to be honest with you. Like,
no,
the Packers up like 17-0 at one point. They fought all the way back. Really, almost should have won the game. They should have gave that up right there at the end to let them get that field goal. But I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Niners fan.
Nah, that was an exciting game, though. I watched that game.
Easily, I'm sure they line it back up with the Packers. They might dominate them for real. Because
they just gave them.
They slowed all down after they jumped out. So
yeah,
they've had the Packers numbers for recent years too. So I know they not really too worried about that. Only thing I say about San Fran is probably the secondary. I don't know if they got some people hurt or not, to be honest with you, but that's probably like the one thing they for sure could, shore up a little bit. But I don't think it was such a bad loss. I mean, of course, as a fan, you don't ever want to lose or see a team lose, especially in that fashion. But if I was them, I wouldn't take it too deep, to be honest with you. They showed resiliency getting back in that game, almost winning it.
Yeah, I don't want to manifest anything negative. Markel and I spoke about this morning, but we just gotta shore up that secondary, man. There's no excuse how they were able to score with 37 seconds left, no timeouts. There's no period. So
they was playing back way too much.
Jimmy for years, but that fumble, come on, Jimmy. Come on, Jimmy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That
was silly. Yeah, it was like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah. So again, taking my fan hat off and putting my host cap on. I didn't want to talk about this. Like y'all said, it was a good game, but there's no moral victories. I told Malik, I've been telling Malik all summer we should start the season 4-0, and I really believe that. And he was like, man, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I believed that we were. I thought that we had a favorable schedule, still do. But first home opener of the season, we supposed to handle business, man. We just got off to a slow start. We can't get down 17-0. This is second week in a row where we almost didn't score until halftime either. So we just gotta stop with the slow starts and pick it up. But yeah, man, next week, that's the only thing about football is when you lose, you gotta wait a week to, make up for it. So, I'm just trying to be patient here, but definitely a good game though, for sure, man. Devontae Adams, he
Dog,
showed so
dog, he's a dog. All right, real quick, we're gonna transition into the WNBA. They came out with their end of season awards yesterday. John Coyle Jones takes away the MVP from the Connecticut Sun. Sylvia Fowles wins her fifth Defensive Player of the Year from the Minnesota Lynx. Six
Player,
one, huh?
who's that fifth
Yeah,
defense player? Damn.
yeah. Kelsey Plum wins the Sixth Woman of the Year award from the Las Vegas Aces. Most improved goes to Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun. Rookie of the Year goes to Michaela. I don't want to mess up her last name, so I'm gonna call her Michaela O. From the New York Liberty. And Coach of the Year goes to Kurt Miller of the Connecticut Sun. The Connecticut Sun went on a tear. The last 14 games of the season went 14-0, getting that number one spot. The WNBA does theirs a little bit different. They do theirs just ranked, top to bottom. The first couple rounds of the playoffs are single elimination, and then the semifinals, and then the finals are best of five. Um, so in that quarterfinal single elimination game, the Phoenix Mercury defeated Seattle Storm in a thriller in overtime, 85 to 80. Very monumental game right there. It could have been possibly Sue Bird's last game. She's been in the league since 2004. Her and Diana Taurasi went at it. I think it was for their eighth time, and Diana was up. She was up one game before the game yesterday, so now she's up two games in their head-to-head matchups. So it was a really good game. Sue did had an emotional interview after the game. The fans were chanting "One more year, one more year, one more year," and Sue, like I said, was very emotional, just talking about all the game has given to her and all she's been able to accomplish. So,
that's
um,
the key right there, man.
yeah, definitely the OG. I can't believe they still kicking it like they was playing when we was youngins, like, you know what I'm
So
saying? And they still, like,
yeah,
Diana Taurasi is a bucket. She took over in overtime. I think she was the only one that scored.
yeah,
And she was playing on a bum ankle too, but you could just tell, like, she like, all right, and let me stop playing real quick, and just turned up, like, just hit three buckets back to back. So, and was able to carry her team into the next round where they'll play. I think their matchup with the, let me make sure real quick.
Chicago Sky, right?
No, they're gonna play.
The Aces.
They play the Aces. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
then Chicago Sky will play Connecticut. So yeah, uh, that'll start tomorrow. Actually, those playoff games will start tomorrow, and they're on ESPN too. And then the second single elimination game was the Chicago Sky versus the Minnesota Lynx, where Candace Parker and Sylvia Fowles lined up against each other. Again, like Sylvia Fowles just won Defensive Player of the Year, but they were able to take her out of the game with foul trouble. Um, and the Chicago Sky, they got some good guards over there, man. They were over there hooping. Diamond DeShields, she a bucket. Candace Parker didn't really get off too much, but she's so skilled, man. She is so skilled. Like you could just tell, like she do that. Like it just seems easy to her. But shout out to Sylvia Fowles, too, one of the goats. Been doing it since we've been youngins. It's still, at the top. Like I said, the Sky will play the Connecticut Sun coming up in the WNBA semifinals.
So who you think the favorite is, Drizzy?
Gotta go Phoenix.
Personally, I would go Phoenix, but they're I think with Diana hurt, I don't know how if they're gonna be able to, match up with the Aces, because the Aces have I just lost her name that quick. Shorty from South Carolina. Aja Wilson, lefty.
Oh yeah.
So she's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Now, like, if you look on paper, you would think like the Connecticut Sun would get them, but the Aces are really, 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 really good. They're really good, and then they have Kelsey Plum too, so it's gonna be a good matchup.
Kelsey Plum play for the Aces?
Yeah, she's a really good guard. So I mean, it's gonna be a good matchup, but we'll see. Aces have Chelsea Gray too. Connecticut Suns has Skylar Diggins, so it's gonna be a good matchup. Like, all across the board. I think Diana is definitely gonna be the X factor if she can get healthy and produce consistently, because they definitely need her to.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Is the semifinal single elimination too?
No. They play best of 5 series.
Best of 5, okay.
Yeah. And the finals, best of 5 series as well.
Got you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you for clearing that up for us, for sure.
I'm taking the Aces then, man.
Phoenix just because I love Diana.
I like Kelsey Plum.
I love Diana too. When I was little, I got her autograph. We were at a. Say it again.
So she's one of my favorite, hoopers outside of you. Like, since it Jit, like her.
She is a dog.
Or like it's so many that came through UConn, but she, she's one of the first ones that I took and added to my game defensively as a youngin. Diana Taurasi was one of the first ones that would put 2 hands in your face when you would shoot. I always thought that was super smart.
Most women do contest with 2 hands. That's how we're taught. Men don't contest, and I don't know why y'all don't contest jump shots, but
got you.
Yeah. You're supposed to go with 2 hands.
Something I didn't even know, for real.
Word.
Yeah.
Like one of the only ones I ever seen do that. I'm like, oh, I'm adding that. You blocking all that video.
Yeah, my coach. He wish you would go with 1 hand, like trying to contest a shot. Yeah. We taught to contest with 2 hands.
Got you.
But yeah, she definitely go. So I mean, possibly may be her last run too. So, she been in the league since 2005, I believe. She been in the league since 2005. Sue Bird since 2004. So. Yeah, they up there.
UConn, they was right there, boom, boom, ring, ring, lead.
Yeah. UConn been doing this since, I think they started the trend. Actually, Rebecca Lobo and their group started the trend up at UConn. So yeah.
I always thought it was Sue Bird. So thank you again for that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So exciting basketball coming up over the next couple of days. If you guys can catch it, like I said, it's on ESPN too.
At that, man.
Check that out.
Y'all got anything else for us? Anything else from the agenda?
No, that's it.
That's it, man.
All right. Well, we want to thank all our listeners. Please like and follow us on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on our social media pages. It's at CSN_the network. Again, that's at CSN_the network. This is your boy K. I'm with Dre, Lake, CSN the Network podcast, and we out, man. Appreciate y'all.
Chill.